Ladies and gentlemen, I am Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran, and it is July 1st, 2020, and this is your daily Ukraine frontline update. And unfortunately, it looks like I have only bad news. Let's get into just why. Okay, so here is our frontline view. As you can see, there have been changes that are significant in Lysychansk, and I'll show you what I'm talking about right now. We'll move ahead 12 hours, and there's the most current map. You can see Russian forces are controlling just this southern portion of this rail line, and this represents, as we've talked about, the main thoroughfare out of Lysychansk. If forces need to withdraw, this is the route they need to take, and it's already been in range of Russian artillery for some time, but now it is literally within range of Russian small arms fire. We are talking about 400 meters away from Russian lines. It will be extremely hard to pass convoys of vehicles, thousands of soldiers. I am hoping that this is just a function of, I'm hoping that this map and the fog of war are just somewhat delayed, and that there aren't actually that many units still fighting in Lysychansk. Supposedly, the Russians have been advancing and control the refinery, but you can see here on the map, it still shows that the Russian limit of advance is in just the southern suburbs of Lysychansk. So this, to me, is the most significant thing. One, it's kind of rare to see Russian forces push this hard, this fast, right? As we've talked about, you generally see them take territory in bites. They will bite off a chunk of territory, use artillery bombardment to prepare the next bite-sized piece of territory while they refit their forces for 48 hours, and then they will advance again. Here we've seen every day a push, a push, a push, a push, and finally they are within striking distance of cutting off the last bit of territory for that the Ukrainian forces can use to withdraw from Lysychansk. If these forces can't withdraw, it would be potentially a very devastating blow, because of just the thousands of troops and their equipment, and the fact that these troops are some of the Ukrainian forces' best units, and some of the most combat hardened. So all in all, again, we're hoping that these guys can hold out. Let's take a look at the map up close, and we'll try to break it down a bit more. So here is the remaining units in Lysychansk. You can see here this 15th Special Police Battalion is, again, continuing to withdraw. They may, I suspect, withdraw through the north, given that as a special police battalion, they probably don't have a ton of heavy armor or equipment. They're probably operating with just like civilian vehicles and can pass through smaller, narrower roads. This 27th Police Battalion also appears to be withdrawing. The 4th Special Police Regiment, 4th Special Police Regiment shows itself firmly in Lysychansk. It is worth noting too that one of the functions of military police under U.S. NATO doctrine is what's called maneuver and mobility support. So in exactly these sort of situations where there are rapidly changing access points to and from the battlefield, there's a lot of units with a lot of different transportation needs, and coordinating how to get them down through the roadways, how to get them safely and quickly out of an area. That is actually what at least NATO military police specialized in. We call it maneuver and mobility support. And it's one of those roles that seems like a sort of silly throwback, almost administrative in nature, until you have a situation like this. And the military police lore, at least in the U.S. Military Police Corps, has a lot of stories of military police units doing these fighting covered withdrawals, facilitating these units as they withdraw from a collapsing battlefield. So it can be a very dangerous role, and it's not clear to me that Ukrainian special police battalions or brigades are operating on the same set of rules. There may be totally different forces assigned to this role, but it's something to note that this is a dedicated role that military units, specialized military units, train for. You can see here the Donbas Brigade is continuing to try to hold Lysychansk, fighting this sort of fighting withdrawal, right? Trying to hold off and, again, trading space for time. I don't think anyone believes that this single brigade is going to hold off against what looks like several, probably, battalions of Russian armor that we know of. I'm sure there's more that have not been reported. So they are just going to be trading space for time as they withdraw through Lysychansk and allow the 112th Territorial Defense Brigade and it looks like the 1st Battalion of another Territorial Defense Brigade to start their withdrawal. These guys need to be holding off. As we've discussed, this map is out of date. They have seized all the way up to this intersection here. So there's, again, it's hard to articulate just how much the Ukrainian forces have their work cut out for them to ensure that they can withdraw from Lysychansk and hold off the Russian pincer movement here at, God help me, Verkhona Kamyanka. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to all my Ukrainian viewers. So, all in all, guys, I wish I had better news, but I really don't. This is just such a strategic intersection. I mean, we've been talking about it for literally weeks, about how incredibly valuable it is. And you know, you may be like, wow, it's almost like the Russians are listening to you. But the truth is that there's only so many ways to solve these problems in war. You look at the map, you understand what your enemy wants to do, you understand their tactics, and you're both looking at the same map, you're going to come to the same conclusions. And the reality is that the Russians know they could not dig the Ukrainian forces out of Lysychansk, not without paying a tremendous price. And so their only option was to go around. And if you want to go around, there's only one main thoroughfare out of this city, and it's right here. One other question that I saw in the comments was, can light units or armored units just pass through farmland? And the answer is not at scale. And let's see if we can get the satellite view and I can try to show you just where the constraints would be. So when we zoom in, right, here's this limit of advance of the Russian forces. Let's say you said, hey, we want the tank, the armored units to try to pass north of some of these locations. And, you know, they can for a little bit, but there's just a lot of this farmland. For example, here you can see there's a tree line. And maybe these trees are narrow. Maybe you could just push a tank right through them. But you guys know old growth trees, a tank cannot push through them. They're too strong. And so how far can they drive before they run into a line of trees that they can't just push through? Well, now to facilitate that, you've got to either destroy the trees or chop them down. You stop your movement. You've got to get out. You have to find explosives or a chainsaw, right? And you do this, look, every couple of feet. You have trees here. If you wanted to continue to push trees, major trees. And what you also don't see is terrain changes. This, for example, could be a dry riverbed that's so steep a tank may not be able to cross it. So all of these sort of terrain forces armored vehicles to move at just a glacial pace. They're functionally trapped. That's how slow going it would be. Again, is it possible for Ukrainian forces, for example, to maybe, again, if they were better prepared, if they had more time, they could maybe find a route that would take them, like, not in direct line of sight of Russian forces and use one of these smaller roads, maybe try to expand it out or clear debris from it, and then link back up with this road here. It's possible, but again, it's going to take so much time clearing debris, making checking the route, creating new roads from scratch across this farmland. It takes a lot of time and effort, and it's not clear that Ukrainian forces have it. So also, guys, just want to point out, thank you so much to the people that hit subscribe. We hit 100K. I'm so amped about it. It's gonna be awesome. Hopefully in a couple weeks I will have that plaque on my wall, but seriously, I am like really touched at the support you guys have given me. Really touched that you guys find some value in my analysis, and I'm happy that I can share my experiences and education with you guys. Also, if you want to see some breakdowns of videos that are too spicy for YouTube and support the channel at the same time, you want to become a member of the Patreon. Link is in the description, and thanks to our Lieutenant tier patrons. I'll see you guys in the next one.